people today. They could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your corner. A friend like AARP. So your health lives longer.
This is just slow-mo karate?
Just slow-mo karate.
Your money lives longer.
I just bought that.
I just sold that.
And your happiness lives longer. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
Welcome to AARP Illinois' virtual event. It's so wonderful to have you with us. AARP is on a mission to connect with individuals across various communities, especially those aged 50 and above. We're here to listen, understand, and address the unique needs of you and your community as we age. Our goal is to enrich your experience by expanding our local activities, providing opportunities for you to discover and engage with all that life has to offer right here in your own community and virtually. As we journey through today's event, we invite you to consider joining our dedicated team of AARP volunteers. It's a chance to make a meaningful impact and help us better serve those 50 plus across the nation. Connect with us and be a part of this vibrant movement toward positive change. Welcome, and let's make this event both fun and transformative.
Hi there, AARP. It's me, Amanda Pyle, and I'm coming to you from Morton, Illinois with another episode of my Crafty Corner, where we'll be making some super cool repurposed frames, basically, and turning them into some simple artwork to display favorite pictures over the years is what I'm using mine for. You could do any inserts of different Polaroids, history of Christmas pictures, progression of your kids' or grandkids' school photos. Really, you could attach anything to this project that we're going to make today. We'll start off by showing what we need as far as supplies. So first up for our supplies, you're going to need some sort of frame that you're either not using around the house. It can have glass in it if you want, or in this case I found it's the end of October here, getting towards near of it, even though this video will air in November. I found this super awesome Halloween pop-up kind of like chalkboard looking thing that kind of stands on its own, and I got that at the dollar store for $7, and I thought it was going to be perfect for this project. We're just going to have to do a little paint work to get the party started on that. And then you're going to need a glue gun to glue on some embellishments. Found some super cool letters that I could use also from another local dollar store. You're going to need some paint. We're going to paint not just the frame, but also that silly Halloween background so that it kind of fades into the background, if you will, and we don't have to look at the Halloween print. That way our custom frame can be used for any type of picture that we want. And then of course some chalk brushes as well, and I'm using chalk paint because it dries faster and I really like the way that it shows kind of like a matte finish when it's all done. You're going to need some sandpaper to sand off your frame after that dries. We're going to need some twine ribbon so that we can hang our pictures. And then, of course, some cute little adorable paper clips that I also found at the dollar store. Let's look at what we're going to make. Over here I have just one of the finished projects. I wish I was organized enough to have all 12 of my daughter's wallets ready to go, but I thought I would just put enough pictures in to kind of show you the idea behind this. So this could show, you know, your child or your grandchild's progression of over the years of school pictures, their dance pictures, sports pictures, or even just hang your favorite family photos on here. It doesn't even have to be, you know, specifically X amount of years. It can be whatever you like. And so you see the twine in there, you see the little clips, and then I found this neat little wooden piece that says amazing at the dollar store as well, and I decided to attach that to the top. And then I just used chalk to write on my board because I painted this background in chalk paint, and it's actually the same exact chalkboard that we're using today, and as you can see it looks completely different. I used that sandpaper to rough up those edges and kind of bring out the undercolor that was behind the black. Today we're going to actually paint that frame a different color, let it dry, we're going to paint it white, let it dry, and then when we sand it, the black is going to come through the white. And so we're going to give it a bit of a different look, and we're going to give it a white background as well, just to see if we can kind of change the look and the feel of this particular frame. I also had this frame just kind of laying around the house. We had it hanging on the wall. I never really had the right pictures in it that I really liked. So I took the glass out of this frame, and as you can see, it has kind of like a meshy background. I simply glued the mesh background onto the glass, and then I used that as my background, and then did the same exact process with the string and the clips. Added a couple snowflakes for embellishments, also from the dollar store, and a couple cheap ornaments and garland kind of things just to froof it up and accessorize it a little bit. And then I found those letters at Dollar Tree as well. Painted those in a creamy color to help accent the background and bring it into more of a customized photo frame. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to start with is going ahead and getting my frame ready to go. So even though I could leave this and just sand it down like the other one, I wanted to kind of bring a different approach and a different look to our frame today. So I'm going to use this Waverly Wax White to do the background here. It took two coats of black when I did the other frame, so I'm sure it's going to take at least 2 coats of white to do that too. And then I'm going to use this off-white to paint the outer frame right here, and then I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to give it a little bit of sand around the edges so that when I sand off some of the white, the black is what comes through, and it should give overall a completely different look to our frame. So let's go ahead and get started. Give my chalk paint a good paint, or a good shape. And we'll go ahead and start the process. Chalk paint's my favorite to use for this. It seems to dry really quick. It covers really well. So it makes the project overall not take as long to do, which is really nice. I'm going to definitely get in all the corners. And since I'm using a white paint to go back and do this frame, and they're both kind of shades of white, it's okay if you get a little bit on there. I'm not worried too much about it running over a little bit, because eventually all this is going to be white. Like I said, $7 for this frame. Picture frames themselves are kind of expensive, and since we don't really need the glass out of it, I thought this was perfect. I originally was going to take the backing out of this, but when I put the project together, I liked it better with the backing on there so it could support the pictures a little bit better. All right, I'm going to go ahead and apply a second coat to this after it dries, because as we can see, it's definitely going to need it to cover up all of that Halloween fun. And I think that's a really good start. Get all the excess off. All right, and then I'm going to switch to the other paint. And I'm going to go ahead and do my frame. Just a slightly different color of white. And again, I'm going to sand this off, so it does not have to be perfect. We really just want to have a different dynamic to it by making it look a little bit rustic. And since I already did the first frame in black, I thought, well, let's do one in a different color. I like the idea of leaving them not holiday themed. That way they can be used for any sort of picture that you want. All right, so I'll get this finished up and we'll be back. All right, we're back. We have a painted board, painted background. Right now I'm just kind of customizing. This here is going to be a doggy themed, not really a milestone frame, but instead I'm going to display business cards from the local companies that we use here for dog services. So we use a lot of different cards for dog walkers. We have people that make custom things for pets. So we're going to hang those and display those on our board today instead of pictures, but obviously you can display whatever you want. So I've got my background painted. I also went ahead and painted some letters that I'm just going to glue on. The last part of my board that I have to do here is finish out kind of roughing it up and taking off this white layer that we put over the black. We did it really subtly. So just using like a sandpaper block here. I'm just removing the white, letting some of the original wood kind of shine through. Of course, everything has to be dry when you do this step. Even the paint on this part too. And I like to run it a little extra on the corners, just to kind of help bring out that rustic look. Alright, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to put my letters aside for a second and then we'll start gluing. Using a cloth here to just kind of wipe away some of that dust. We got some little areas that I might go back and touch up, but let's see where we end up putting all the letters first, and we'll go from there. Alright, so first things first, we need some string. I want to do 3 layers of my business cards here. So I've chosen this string here and cut 3 pieces. And I'm going to put glue in 1 towards the top, 1 towards the bottom, 1 in the middle. So I've got my hot glue gun on here. And depending on the frame that you get, that'll decide how long your ribbon or your twine or whatever you're using. But I don't want it to really show too much, so I'm going to do it pretty taut, because once you start hanging things on it, it'll make it kind of go down a little bit. And then I'm going to glue that in. Okay, and I like to have something like a toothpick or a pencil, just whatever you have laying around the house, so that you can tuck that in, because the glue, as you know, is going to be really hot. And you don't want to have to press it in with your finger. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue and then insert my string, and I'm just going to hold it there until I can kind of wiggle my paintbrush out. I couldn't remember where I put the toothpicks, but that's really what I like to use. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Try to even it up a little bit. I'm going to try not to get quite as much glue as I did on the last one, because I don't want the glue to show if I can help it. There we go, that's much better that time. Alright, drag my twine over, insert it there, and we're going to hold it with the toothpick. Perfect. And then we can always cut the excess off right here, this little excess of the twine. And now we have our first string in. We're going to do exactly the same right here in the middle. Just a little tiny dollop if you can. And my toothpick. Hold my string in place. Alright, and then we string it across. Do the same thing to the other side. And you could use any color ribbon. I'm just using the twine because I like it. It goes with the rustic look of the board. And then my last one right down here at the bottom. And again, I'm planning to hang business cards from this one to display in my shop. So I think 3 rows will hold a lot of business cards. All right, so now we've got our 3 strings in. So now let's embellish our board a little bit. So again, I bought for the board back there some snowflakes from the Dollar Tree, some ornaments if you want to take it a Christmas route. It'd be really cute to display your kid or grandkids or even your family's Christmas photos from over the years. It's a great idea for this. Again, the original idea for me came from displaying kids or grandkids' school photos. All right, that's looking good there. See if we can see that in the video. All right, let's add some embellishments. I kind of put these down here and they gave a little scratch, but I think we can go ahead and cover them up by just putting our letters right over that section. So I'm first going to line them up, see where I want everything here. We can always go back and use some touch-up paint too. So I got a pack of these letters and they come with, you know, all the letters, and then some of the letters you get 2. And in this case, I had used all the E's on making Henley, so I had to come up with an idea of what didn't need E's and what I could spell on my board. So I thought, oh, bark is perfect. And I wanted to add some color to this board because it's something that's not going to be a seasonal holiday board. It's going to be out all the time. So I thought some bright colors would do a little justice. So I've got my letters bark on there. And then here along the top, right here, I'm going to put dog love. So I've just got these wood letters. They came from Dollar Tree. Then they're just wood colored, so I went ahead and painted them and gave them a little touch of color just to add a little bit of brightness to the board because it's kind of drab. Loving the yellow with the black. All right, so now I'm just going to glue those on next. I like to just put them down where I want them and then add the glue. That way I know exactly where to set it back down. I didn't do good on that one though. I got caught up. There we go. Since it's a wooden board, everything just glues to it really nice and easily. Can always find something at the end of the season, right? To be able to repurpose like this, or even go to your local thrift store. Would be a great place to get some picture frames to be able to do this artwork. Beautiful. All right. So let's turn that around so you can actually see it in the camera. This is coming along. Looks pretty cute. Here we go. So we've got our dog love, got our bark, got our 3 strings in. All right, next up is some clothespins. And these are very easy to find. I really like these dark colored ones that I found from Dollar General. And then how cute is this to display all your favorite local people? So this is my friend Ben, and he makes wooden dog stairs and other wooden things. And this is my favorite daycare in town. A little dog daycare. Oh, and this is my favorite local artist. And she paints all of the doggies' portraits for Paint Your Pet Night, which we do regularly. Well, and of course I have to include my own business cards. Mr. Doodlepins and Primrose. And we'll just use a few more of those so that you can kind of get the idea. And again, photos would be fine. I'm just doing business cards to give a different look and a different idea and show how that can be used. And there we go. And I think I'll stop right there so I don't cover up any of my letters. Okay, and then I've got one little spot up here. And I think I'm going to touch up with my background paint. Just an easy little touch up there. I don't think anybody will even notice. Alright, so we started with a Halloween looking frame. Now as you can see we have something completely different. Let's look at all three of our creations together. Alright, first step we took first of all our first Halloween stand-up frame, painted the inside Halloween decor with a black chalk paint, which having done the other color, I would now recommend the black. It just got better coverage, faster, and I only had to do 2 coats. And it also, it dried a lot smoother. So I'm really happy with the way that the black chalk paint covered up the background. Then we roughed up the original frame. We didn't add any extra paint to that. And then, again, this here is meant to be kind of like K through 12 school photos. I think now that I've made this frame, I'll probably try getting those printed and putting this together for home. Next up, I took a frame off the family wall of frames. This one here, I'll turn. This one here was hanging on my wall, had regular glass in it with kind of like an insert frame. And I took the insert frame out, took the glass, covered it with some textured fabric that's kind of like hemp, and then I added in some Christmas or winter sort of embellishments, did a name and stringed that too, and then added some Christmas pictures to go along with the Christmas embellishments. That's going to look really cute hanging back up on the wall for the Christmas season. All right, and last but not least is the one that we just created. This one here is going to be a display for my dog shop where we'll display some of our favorite local businesses that we love working with in the area. So hence the dog love and the bark. Painted the letters a different color just to bring some brightness to the frame. On this one I hung 3 strings across the middle instead of just 2. And then roughed up the frame after painting it with a little bit of white just to bring a different kind of color to it. And then we did that background in kind of like a different grayish white, dried kind of gray, probably because it's on a black background. So yeah, that one's for more everyday purpose, kind of like the one next to it. All right, well, I want to thank you guys for joining me for another episode of My Crafty Corner. I really enjoyed making these repurposed frames and turning them into the perfect way to display any kind of artwork, any pictures from over the years of your family, your kids or grandkids, any milestone photos would be great on here, or come up with a different use and add in some business cards. We'll see you back again soon. Thanks, everybody at AARP.